What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner, a channel dedicated to all things Arsenal Football Club, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. And in today's video, I'm going to be having a look at the game yesterday after the dust has settled a little bit, and particularly looking at the response from the players and the manager on social media. Before we get cracking, do me a solid and click the subscribe button so I can keep you updated with all the news and views from our beloved Arsenal Football Club. And if you like the content, don't forget to give it a big like. And I'm dying to hear what you think of the channel so far and all your comments. Please do leave a comment below. It's important to judge a team not by how they fail, but how they respond to that failure. And firstly, I thought Mikel Arteta's was a great example of how to respond to a team that have played so well all season but had one bad day at the office. He said, "I want the team to know how much I love them. I love them much more now than 3 hours ago, a week ago, a month ago, 3 months ago." And he really is a class act as far as I'm concerned. And he totally understands how to support the players. Look, I know it was a disappointing performance and the levels that we've come to expect from this team just were not there. Partey was ineffective at linking the defence and the midfield. Part of that was down to dice ball, which is a tactic which almost completely bypasses a midfield by playing a very direct style of football. As a consequence, Odegaard, who's arguably been the Premier League's best player all season, and someone we so often rely on to create the chances and attacking pressure, did not see enough of all. Saka and Martinelli were both double marked and couldn't find a way to influence the game. And Nketiah, who's leapt to the top of our goal scoring charts in the absence of Jesus, had fewer touches than Ramsdale all game. And despite the huge improvements that we've seen in his physicality and strength, still found himself a little bit outmatched by an aggressive, determined and well-marshalled Everton defence. And it highlights that we're not at the end of a process, but we're very much still in the middle of it. We're all in danger of overlooking progress if we focus on our failings in this game. This performance itself was far too similar to many at the end of the Wenger era and all the way up to the early part of Arteta's reign. Crushing defeat to Chelsea in the Europa League final is an excellent example of a game that we'd come to expect almost as Arsenal fans. So what we should know is that this game is now unusual as opposed to being an endemic lack of our leadership. This Arsenal has demonstrated great attitude and leadership all season. This game was an exception. From not having any leaders on the pitch at all, we now have a few that you could make a case for. For example, Ramsdale in goal commands his area in a way we haven't seen since Lehmann. Zinchenko is so much more than a left-back. He's usually an inspiration, and who could fail to be inspired by his fight and determination not to lose? Xhaka has shown that he can work his way back into our hearts by showing a fan's level of passion and work rate. Saka and Martinelli, with their obvious commitment and belief in the team, always give their best. How many players with their flair go missing throughout the season, and few, if any, show their willingness to track back and do the defensive work? I could name others. Tierney, Jesus, El Neni, even Holding, all give 100%. So ask yourself, how would you feel if you've given everything in every match and achieved 50 points in 19 games, only to be criticised and derided the very first time you have an off day? The maturity of these players, who are mostly so young, is incredible to me. And the immediate apologies all over social media asking us to keep the faith is in itself inspiring. They don't hide when they fail. They stick together without sulking or making excuses. And we should remember that and not take it for granted. Who at the start of the season could have imagined that we would be where we are today? For all that the fans have helped, it's them that's run the hard yards and put us where we are. And I am, as we should all be, hugely grateful to them for that. Remember, in life, it's not how often you fall, but how often you lift yourself up that counts. In life, it's not how often you fall that counts, but how often you can lift yourself up. And I believe this squad is well equipped to demonstrate that against Brentford next Saturday. Acting like they've let us down seems like the worst kind of entitled fan behaviour. There is not a team in the Premier League who wouldn't swap with us. So, on to today's game at 3-point lane between trophyless Tottenham and our main title rivals, one of the best teams in world football, managed by one of the most innovative and successful managers of all time. Can we bring ourselves to cheer on Tottenham? I'm going to struggle, but wouldn't it be poetic if they could get something from this game? Manchester City should go into this game fired up by the chance to close the gap, but are they in the right frame of mind to? In the summer, they lost players that seemed to have weakened the squad. Obviously, Zinchenko and Jesus, a good example of that. Sterling also. And in the January transfer window, they lost Cancelo. And is this going to have an effect on the dressing room that doesn't seem to mind the prospect of not winning the league in favour of concentrating on the Champions League? Time will, of course, tell. But I suspect they lack the hunger to win the league this season. And I hope to be proven right in my prediction of a surprise win for Tottenham today. Although wish may be father of the thought there, I'm going to give myself over to manifesting the destiny I want to see. So I think Kane and Son will both score today and keep the title race very much in our court. I think I may need to go and have a quick wash now. I feel a little bit unclean.